Monday, Mission Monday. So, hey, here we are. Here we are at Forward Operating Base Rush. You've seen me come to you from here before. We got our big day tomorrow, right? We're opening Forward Operating Base Rush to in-person events. So there is a lot to get done. And I can't count enough on my team that I have to step up when the time is needed. So we're going to bring Jen up. Come on, join me, Jen. There she is. Okay. Jen, she's sitting here on the side, but part of her job is that when I can't be here, to take over the podcast and do what we do, bring hope to veterans. So we're working on a few things right now. We got last minute emails shooting for our guests and all that, but it's okay. Overall in the mission, well, big day's tomorrow. The big day is tomorrow. Let me pull up the latest. Well, I can't even find that email. All I know is we got Senator Dale Fowler coming, Dr. Catherine Epps, coach from WBGL, Global Vision Bible Church, Tim Delaney from Humana of Illinois, Paul Copeland from SIU University, Felicia, I cannot pronounce her last name, but she's with the Survivors of Veteran Suicide Group here in Illinois. And they're all coming to take a tour. Those are just the highlights. There's tons and tons more. So be sure to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on Restream. And Jennifer will be hosting. You tell them what's going on tomorrow. You're leading that. I'm not.
Yes, everybody, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, which is November 28th, 2023, at 10 a.m. Central Time, that's 11 Eastern in U.S. time, we will be going live to to watch the first. You'll see us doing a introduction conversation and talking about what's happening or about to happen in the first 15 minutes. Then you will see the introduction and the grand opening, where there will be Brian here making a speech and introducing people to what it's all about, which you too can be there and hear what File Brush is all about, what Project Die Hard's all about, what the PDH Mission Monday is bringing you each Monday at 6:30 Central and 7:30 Eastern in U.S. time. And just that the File Brush grand opening tomorrow on the 28th is a big deal because that's the first base we have that's going to be completed, even though we're in the final stages. But it's ready enough that we can go ahead and have a grand opening and get things going, let you know all it has to offer, and start to enjoy it. Start to spread the word.
Yes. And again, I've been holding it in. And I'm going to keep holding it in until tomorrow. I will be announcing our first in-person event at File Brush. That's the teaser. You got to tune in to hear about this first event. And of course, anybody, anytime is allowed to come to any Project Die Hard facility and see where their donation goes. It's one thing I'm adamant about full transparency. So, with that, I see our first guest is in. Let's bring them in, Jen. Let me say hi and bye, and I will turn it over to you guys. Hey, Jason, long time no see, man.
Howdy, howdy, Brian. How are you tonight?
Oh, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. We got this big opening tomorrow. So I hate to say hi and bye, but Jen's going to take over the podcast, do all the questioning. Susan, you guys are going to have this great discussion. I got to go chase a Wi-Fi bug down so we can go live tomorrow.
All righty.
You stay safe. Thank you for joining us. And brothers and sisters, have hope. Don't give up this fight. Okay? We need you. We need you, especially here at this mission. So with that being said, Jen, take it away. I look forward to the replay. Die Hard 6 out.
Thank you, everybody, for continuing to tune in. We now will be talking to Jason Nightingale. Jason, will you please first introduce people about who you are and what, because of what you do and who you are, what do you have to offer to veterans who may be listening and in need of some way?
You bet. So I am a banking educator. I've been an entrepreneur for about 30 years. I've had this business here for about 13. I had a fire years ago when I was just using this business part-time to provide safe money places for my clients, doing a little bit of insurance planning and stuff. And the fire destroyed my other business in 2015, causing me a 5-digit per month cash flow shortage. When that happened to me, the insurance company took over a year to pay our claim. Our claim was almost $220,000. And I went to go to my bank to try to get a loan. And of course, because my main source of income had burned up, which was my tools in my cabinet shop, they told me no. So I called them back an hour later and asked if I could redraw some funds because I had made some extra mortgage payments. And they told me no, can't do that either. And I'm like, why? And they said, well, you don't understand amortization, do you? So I thought, man, here is an entrepreneur when I have good months and I want to pay extra and I can't claw back any of that money in a bad month. That's messed up. I thought banking is not set up right. So I was already upset about the fact that, Jennifer, when I put my money in checking and savings accounts, they weren't paying me anything. And oftentimes, for interest rates. And oftentimes when my clients would write me a $20,000 or $30,000 check for a set of cabinets or some woodwork, they'd say, oh, well, we've got to hold this check for 7 to 10 days. We don't know this person. So now that holds up the job. I don't have the cash flow, right? So I ended up having to later open up credit lines and stuff so I could get materials and keep working until my money was available. So I thought, you know what? I mean, here I am. I'm not able to collect on this fire. I need to come up with some banking strategies. So I thinking, okay, I want to be able to redraw funds. So I start Googling around that, and I need to be able to collect float on my bank like they're collecting on me. And I came up with a strategy that cancels up to 70% of the interest on debts while increasing cash flow. It was absolutely amazing. And several months into it, we'd been paying down our debt so fast. We had 14 years left on our mortgage at the time. We were able to knock it out in 30 months, saving my family 170 grand. And I did this on less cash flow. So I got asked, well, what are you doing? Our friends want to know about this, by my family. And so I started sharing it. And within 22 months, we'd helped 1,500 people save $2.3 million, which came out to $130,000 per family, giving them back over $2,000 a month in cash flow. In those clients, we were able to help 300 nonprofits. And that's what brings me here today. We've relaunched our nonprofit platform. For vets and seniors, we offer a pretty hefty discount on our services. But the fees that we collect for our services come, Jennifer, from the savings that we create. So if we can't save somebody money, there is no charge. And they're able to collect back the money that they pay us in such a short time. So we basically help it to be doable and affordable for the vets that you serve. What we do for your nonprofit is we give back a portion of those savings to help Project Die Hard in its mission and the communities that it's trying to serve to build the facility that they're looking to build. So it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins.
All that is great, but at the same time, this whole show, we're trying to focus on veterans, giving them resources. So where do you see this specifically right now being a resource for the listeners who are, whether they're current veterans or disabled veterans, active duty, or anything else, even the family members? Where could they start? I mean, because there's some veterans may not even be employed. Some veterans may have jobs, but like you say, you don't have a savings. So where does all this tie in?
Absolutely. The best thing someone could do is to jump on our calendar for a free discovery call. But of course, they'd want to see our presentation, right? To see if it's something that might be something that they'd even be interested in. So they could go to your Safe Money Solution, singular.com, or they could go to safemoneyjason.com, either one of those websites, and there'll be a link to my calendar there and also a presentation that they can watch. And so where that would start, what a free discovery call would look like, is we would pull some financial data from the client, from the person, from the vet, where they would give us some information. We would enter that into our software and come back to them where we put some ideas out on the table to show them how fast they could be debt-free, number one, how much cash flow that they could recapture to help them right away within 30 days. And last but not least, how they could use this wealth building tool to get ahead for the future. So they can either go to yoursafemoneysolution.com or they could go to safemoneyjason.com. And there's also a free downloadable report on the yoursafemoneysolution.com website that they could download immediately.
So is this more of a debt situation for those who have high debt? Because you say banking, but banking isn't limited to just those with a lot of debt. It's for people who have good cash flow, or at least in terms of their budgeting. Because, personally, I have an accounting background, so I'm thinking, well, are you really just helping them pay off debt quicker with refinanced under a lower interest, and that's why they pay less?
No. So the strategy is basically anybody that's got a checking and a savings account, they're making and spending money, can benefit from this strategy. Let's face it, when you put money in the bank, you're not getting an interest rate. You're not getting hardly paid anything. And if you dropped a $20, let me just kind of give a little extra something to your audience. So ask yourself, if you're listening to this podcast, if I dropped a $20 bill on the ground, would I pick it up even if someone was looking? Well, you bet. Most of us are not too proud. We're going to pick up a $20 bill, even if the wind's blowing and we got to chase it, because that's $20. Well, what if I told you the average person is leaving $1,000, $2,000 in a checking and a savings account overnight? Congratulations. You just gave your bank a free loan. There's a whole lot more than just $20 sitting next to the coffee pot for you each and every morning if you learn a better way to bank. It's transformative what happens when you learn a little shift in how you deposit your money at the bank can make an amazing difference in how fast you get ahead and pay down debt. That's what I learned after a fire that enabled me to take out my mortgage, which I had 14 years left, in 30 months. Your listeners can do the exact same thing. And that's why we're offering them a free downloadable report, and they can go to our website and watch that presentation just so they can see from the comfort of their own home if they think it's something they want to check out and how it might work for them with a free discovery call.
That makes me think of like CDs, and you're supposed to leave them in those. And CDs, if you leave them in longer term ones, you accrue more interest than like a 6-month one. Like say 12 months compared to 6 months. Or like stock with mutual funds growing consistently without the loss that comes with high risk stock. So do you do any of that that's more of the financial, or do you, because like banking and finance, there's a financial advisor and then there's the banker, right?
That's correct. We have a financial distribution platform where we deal with finances holistically. What does holistic mean? Holistic means that we're going to look at your protections you have in place. We're going to look at your cash flow going out and your debts, expenses, things like that. We're going to look at your net income coming in, and then we're going to look at your investments and what you're doing with any extra. And the thing about it is our software has several algorithms in it that's going to show us where your expensive debt is. Just today, I had a client that could get access to capital for 5 to 8%, but yet she had balances on her credit cards at 22%. It made absolutely no sense. And when I told her that, she goes, you know what? You're right. Why would I pay 22% for money that I could go purchase other money for 5 to 8% and pay that off and save myself 15, 17%? That's exactly what our software does. It shows you how to reduce the cost of your capital and increase your own. We talk to people also about taxes, because you brought up a very important point when you talked about the stock market and mutual funds. There's 3 classifications of money. There's tax me now, tax me later, and tax me never. And we show people how to get into that never tax bracket. They're able to even make their Social Security tax-free and inheritable. We have strategies around how to do that. It's absolutely phenomenal how much more money is left behind when you're not paying 10, 20, 25% in taxes. I'm all about paying my fair share, Jennifer, but I don't want me or any of your vets paying any more than they have to. And here at Safe Money Solutions, we show you how to help that situation.
So this is very interesting because, I know you for helping with fundraisers.
Absolutely. Have you heard about our Giving Multiplier program?
So I had it on my agenda to meet with you, but we will do that discussion in another meeting. But where does that fundraising background and organization and so forth come in handy for veterans? Like, who could work with you because maybe they can't afford their medical bills or something?
I'm not familiar with fundraising for people to help pay their bills. We have a not-for-profit fundraising program, but if you want to call it fundraising, call it what you want. But our average client gets back $2,000 a month in redeployable cash flow after going through our program. So I would say our debt elimination series is the best fundraiser there is. It's all on what you want to call it. But I think what people should do is watch the presentation, get on the calendar for a free discovery call. Doesn't cost anything to see how it might work for you, because each and every person listening, their situation's different. Maybe somebody out there's got a mortgage, and here they are retired, and they're trying to get by, but they got this $1,000 a month car payment or house payment or whatever kind of debt, right? What would life look like if you had another $1,500 or $2,000 a month? Ask yourself, if you're listening, what would it look like? What would I do first? What would I do next? What would it look like if you were debt free? That's what we do, is we show people how that can become a reality. We've had seniors, 72-year-old lady, Linda Bowles, had $155,000 worth of debt. Within 30 days, we had her had $1,850 more per month left over than what she had when she met us the month earlier. We were helping her rebuild her savings account. I'll give you an example of how we helped her do that. Her daughter and her grandson both had loans on their vehicles that Linda had co-signed on. We used some equity in her house to pay those loans off and lowered the kids' interest rate by 1%, and now had them make their payments to Linda. Linda held on to the titles until they had her paid in full. We rebuilt Linda's savings account to $10,000 within just a couple of short years using that little strategy. Linda said, I would have never thought of that in 100 years, but that's totally changed my life. That was just one small thing we did for her. We had another couple, Tom and Susie, that came in wanting to invest in real estate, but they didn't know how to buy enough houses fast enough to keep cash flow from being a problem. We showed them using our masterclass with cash flow stacking, velocity banking, infinite banking, ways to leverage systems that took care of exactly the thing they feared. They were able to buy within 10 years all 5 of the rentals bought and paid for using our system. Last but not least, small businesses like Dion Sanford had came to me with her log home business, where we helped raise her cash flow and pay off all of her debt within a year and a half, to where she purchased a second business using our system. So different vets might have different scenarios. They might relate more to someone trying to pay down a mortgage and just not enough cash flow. Might be a business owner. Might be somebody wanting to get ahead and learn some investment strategy. That's what we have, is different courses, different classes to help all those different types of people.
What about veterans wanting to start a business?
You bet. You bet. One thing you need for business is cash flow, right? Got to have that. And you also have to have an action plan. And we have a success course that we put entrepreneurs through to kind of help them with that type of thing. We're not here helping people build businesses, but we have a lot of access to other partners that are coaches that can help them find the resources that they need. And there's probably even some of that available through the VA, or at least they could get possibly even some veteran favored lending. We have lenders available to help people with that kind of stuff. So it just all depends on, I suppose, the independent situation.
Well, interesting enough, it seems like everybody else has disappeared. Sue, are you joining us? Sue? Alrighty then. So I guess you and I are the two stars of the night.
Well, that's all right. I think, I've basically, our call to action would be to get on our website, check out the presentation. There's a 25-minute presentation on the Your Safe Money solution, and there's a 7-minute video on the safemoneyjason.com. And check it out. At least see if it's something that you are curious enough that you want to see a free discovery call. There's no obligation, none at all. And if nothing else, you get a free financial review. But the thing of it is, whether you're a student in college trying to pay down debt, or you're trying to pay off some loans, or you're somebody on the other end of the spectrum with several mortgages, car loans, credit cards, or no debt at all, you're just trying to find financial leverage, we can help. We help family offices.
Here's a curious question. What do you do for those who are on Social Security?
Well, we have some strategies. I have a friend named Lawrence Kotlikoff who wrote a book called Get What's Yours. And we show people how to leverage their Social Security. If they've already taken their Social Security, we can show them strategies how they can make it tax-free and make it inheritable. If they have not taken their Social Security yet, but they're nearing the age where they can, we can show them how they can get up to $200,000 or $300,000 more dollars and get an 8% rate of return on the build of the Social Security, with a special strategy that we reveal in the discovery call, absolutely free for your audience. We would not charge them for that.
Interesting, because I know like retirement at age 70, you get a lot more than, I think it's 62 or 63. That's the earliest retirement compared to 65 or 67 based off what generation somebody is.
Yes, and we have a strategy to make it where that when they finally do pull it, it's a lot more than what it would have been. It's a pretty cool strategy, and it's covered in my friend Lawrence's book. And all of our current clients that are at that stage get a complimentary copy of that.
Is so that Lawrence Wingate?
What's that?
Lawrence Wingate?
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Was it Lawrence Wingate?
Oh, Kotlikoff. Lawrence Kotlikoff.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's another Lawrence that's in HNP with us.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so if somebody's listening and they're on a pension, fixed income, Social Security, but you're finding yourself, having more months than money. Here it is, the 27th, and still a few days off from payday. We can show you so many strategies to help you have more money left over so that the month doesn't get ahead of the money. So reach out. That's the first step.
Sue, are you with us? Sue, are you with us?
I see her camera.
Yeah, I just turned it on, but I'm not sure if she's really with the whole game. Susan? Yeah. You're supposed to have another guest. He somehow confirmed. He somehow confirmed on the schedule, but didn't come. We usually have a lot more people here, Jason, because usually there's Brian, and then there's Sue, and then there's Kurt, and then there's at least, myself, and then like at least 2 guests, and this is really odd. But today we somehow just got left for you and I to have a long discussion. I'm not even sure if this other person's coming. You may know him, Brian.
I know some Brian's, yeah.
No, Nicholas. That's what it is, Nick.
Oh, you talking about Nick, the health insurance guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Nick.
Nick Davis. Yeah, that's who's supposed to be here that
Yeah, I know
confirmed
Nick
it,
Davis.
but never actually came on.
Yeah, I know Nick. He's a great guy.
He's a big wild game.
He's fun.
He's got so much energy that I have never seen anybody else have.
Yes, he does. He makes learning about something as boring as health insurance fun, and that's what makes him so engaging.
Yeah, but he's told me he has a hard time focusing. So, interesting enough, he can also be very hard to reach.
Yeah.
But I tried to meet with him about my health insurance, but it was a no-go for me. Didn't have any that'd be willing to cover me.
Yeah. Yeah, health insurance can be pretty taxing on a lot of families. I know, vets don't so much probably have to worry about that, being they have, their VA coverage, but I find it awful.
It depends. There is some accuracy that they do have to worry about it, because like an example is that my little sister became a disabled veteran. She was in service, and in service she broke her back. But because she didn't serve the 20 years, she didn't get TRICARE. So she neither got disability nor TRICARE, and is now in law school studying to be a lawyer. And that's the only way she can go about to get another job, is how she can get health insurance. Otherwise, she can't get health insurance. Like,
Yeah.
even though you'd expect that she could get TRICARE, she can't, because she was disabled before her term was over.
I think Susan will be coming. I text her, and she said a thumbs up. I told her you were looking for her. She says, I'll be right there.
On the hunt for Sue. Sue hunt. But I mean, if you going back to Nick and the topic of health insurance, is that not even veterans really have an equal opportunity for that, because like I'm saying, my sister became disabled by service before she finished her term, so as a result she didn't get health insurance.
Hello, Sue.
We were just talking about a mix, Sue, of health insurance related to veterans, like the TRICARE that my sister lost when she became disabled before her time in service was over, and we were talking about what else is going on with Project Die Hard, and how that relates to Jason's background with the finance and helping people to recuperate financially.
Excellent. Yeah, what Jason does is amazing, and I'm thrilled that you're able to be here, and I really appreciate you in more ways than you know. So and I apologize. I wish I could have heard all the pieces at the beginning. I will go back and find out what I've missed. But I know with what you're able to offer to people and your expertise, it maybe if this is already covered, let me know. But I'm thinking when somebody is coming back from active duty and returning here to the States, I know that's what Project Die Hard, that's a big piece of what they are able to do is to assist with that. What kind of advice would you give somebody as they are making big transitions in their life? How do they approach? Because finances is going to be a big deal, right?
Yes,
They've got
yes.
all sorts of considerations in front of them. What kind of advice would you give? How would they? Where do they start?
I would tell people this, that if you look at mainstream banking, you're going to go somewhere and you're going to open up a new checking account, new savings account maybe, or maybe you're going to return to your old hometown. A lot of you are going to have to buy a new home, or maybe you're going to have to refinance your home, or maybe you're going to get married, or maybe you're going to find out your partner's no longer there. And it's all going to entail some financial adjustment. And let's face it, banking is not set up for you and me. And what I was talking to Jennifer earlier is what happened to me after a fire it was absolutely horrible. I would hate to see anybody else have to go through what I went through, but that fire was able to be the birth of an amazing banking strategy that enabled me to take the 14 years left out on my mortgage in 30 months and save my family 170 grand. The program is amazing. It gives back so much cash flow. So my suggestion would be to get on our website, either the yoursafemoneysolution.com, check out the video that's on there, or go to safemoneyjason.com, check out the shorter video that's on there. But both of those have a calendar link. If it all intrigues you on finding a better way to keep more of your cash, which is what we all want to do, then definitely get on our calendar for that free, no obligation discovery call. Because one thing I mentioned earlier, Sue, was, let's face it, if we dropped a $20 bill, pulling the keys out of our pocket, getting in the car, we'd bend over and pick it up even if someone was watching. We're not going to let that $20 bill roll down the street and say, forget it. We're going to go get it even if it's blowing away from us and someone's watching. Well, every night when you go to bed and you've got money sitting in your checking and savings, let's just say $1,000, you're leaving more than $20 on the ground and not picking it up. With one small change to how you bank, it can change your life. And you'll start picking up the 20s, the 50s, the hundreds, and even thousands of dollars that you're leaving to the bank. I mean, who do you love so much at the bank that you want to be the one buying the cookies on Friday and paying for the pins? I like my banker ladies, but I don't love them that much. Let their bank buy it. So we show you how to get back at this system that wasn't rigged for you and me. We have to go buy our money back. We've been making our deposits there for years. And a husband and wife putting in 100 grand a year have given their bank $1 million in 10 years. And they haven't even made 1,000 in interest. What thanks is that when they want money, they got to go buy it back in the form of a mortgage or a credit card or a car loan. What a slap on the face. So my advice would be to learn what you might not know. Check out why so many thousands of other people have benefited from our amazing accelerated banking program and see if it's a fit for you, because everyone's different.
Yeah, having that custom fit and have the strategies, because let's face it, how many of us actually understand how money works, right? Where in school do you get all those pieces? I remember when I was in school, they taught us pieces, but it wasn't all of the things I really needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that stuff you learn the hard way, right?
Yep.
It's when things go wrong and then you learn from that. It's like, I don't have enough time in my life to make all those mistakes. I need somebody to teach me the pieces I need so that I can actually do the best with what I have. Because
Yep.
we all have limited resources, and the more we can do with what we have and to make the most of that's what it's all about.
Yep. Like I was one of the guys on the old-fashioned typewriters who grabbed the little rod and pulled it over and made it click, 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 click to return the carriage on the old typewriter. But little did I know there was a button you could push and it would return by itself. And then I was 40 years old when I learned pineapples grow on the ground. I thought they grew in a tree, like a palm tree. I didn't know they grew like a cactus in the ground.
Okay, I just 10 seconds ago. I did not know that.
So my point is now you've got a realization. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know that you don't know. But you
Exactly.
might realize that just one small video or a discovery call can change your entire life.
Yeah, it's part of it is that moment of, okay, I know yeah, you don't always know what you don't know, but we all can kind of get that feeling of, okay, I'm not sure what's next, which means there is something that you need to find out. You need to figure out what is that next step. And that's where, with being connected with Project Die Hard and all of the wonderful people in this organization, to be able to have that network of friends and of business folks that we can look to say, hey, this person that I'm talking to right now needs something. They need today, the biggest issue in front of them is to figure out, how do I start with my finances? Where do I go next? This is where I am. What's my next step? And to be able to have somebody that they can actually ask those questions of and get good advice, because there's a lot of people out there that will tell you what they want to tell you, but it might not be in that person's best interest, right? I mean, there's people out, unfortunately, there are people out there like that that are looking to make their own buck, right? So to have people you can trust and know that the information you're getting is good, it's reliable, it's proven, it is what they need,
Yeah.
that is huge.
Yeah. And it's not like we're product pushers here. But let's face it, some people like a manual transmission, some people like an automatic. So for those of the people that like an automatic transmission, we do have a product that can be utilized and leveraged. That's like having a little CPA on their shoulder. It tells them each and every step of the way where to pull the money from, what account to use, how much to pay, and what expense or debt to pay with it. It's
Is
set,
it
set
AI?
it, forget it. When they're drinking their coffee, they can go in there. It tells them exactly what to do to get them debt free absolutely as fast as possible and build cash flow as fast as possible.
Is it an artificial intelligence that's like CPA on your
It doesn't
shoulder?
use AI, but it uses hundreds of algorithms. And I actually tried to improve on it with AI and could not.
That says a lot.
Pretty amazing. It's
Yeah.
based on principles of avalanche, snowball, velocity, and infinite banking all together, working inside of it, so that even if someone doesn't have but a third or fourth grade financial education, they can still operate it by just doing what it says, and it will lead you or it'll follow you. So it's really, really a cool system, and it's something that we would show people, give them a free analysis with that software to let them see what it could do for them if it's right for them and their family if they decided to do a free discovery call.
Excellent.
He's got me
Well,
curious because he was saying he can help even those who are on Social Security and so forth that have fixed incomes. I'm like, you can give me more money? What?
doing the most with what you have, right?
That's right. But I was just telling her too, though, there's two classifications. There's those that have already taken Social Security and those that have not yet. So if they've already taken Social Security, we show them how to make it tax free and how to make it inheritable. Those that have not, using a friend of mine's strategy, Lawrence Kotlikoff, who wrote a book called Get What's Yours, he come up with a strategy on how to get, on average, 200,000 to 300,000 more dollars out of your payout with a certain loophole in the system on how you take the Social Security when you apply. It's absolutely amazing. I don't want to give up too much of it, but I'm willing to give that information out for free to any of your listening audience, Sue, as a favor for you and your guests. And if they become a client, we give them a complimentary copy of the book.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Yeah, and there is so much happening right now with Project Die Hard. This is an amazing moment. I know Brian had his update and I missed the update at the beginning, but I know full well that they have a massive event going on tomorrow. So the springboard to all the things is happening tomorrow. So at Forward Operating Base Rush, Fob Rush, they do have a massive event going on. And actually, Jen, do you have more of the info on that you could share? I don't know if you have that in front of you, but I know there's a lot going on tomorrow. Can you share what you know, just as a quick reminder to everybody? And I believe, just so you know, too, Nick, I believe is supposed to be on any minute here, so just watch for him popping in.
Yes. No, I have not seen Nick, but
Okay.
tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, we will be going live. There will be possibly you, Sue, if you can do it, and definitely Kurt and myself, among some other ambassadors and people on the podcast team that will be going live. Oh, yes, Nick is here. But it will be other people going live to get word out and guide people through the introduction, making a whole discussion like you do before a baseball game or something, where it's the host and we'll have that kind of discussion about what's coming up. But we're not going to spill that tonight. You'll start to tune in, whether you watch it later on our podcast streaming apps or you watch us live tomorrow, which is November 28th at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And there'll be all of us ambassadors, plus the podcast team, and maybe even some other people. But for now, I found out Nick is here, so how about we give him a turn?
Yeah, bring him on in. We'd love to have him be introduced on here. Nick and I actually go way back at this point. I love Nick.
I do.
Welcome.
I just popped on, man.
How's it
Right
going?
later.
You just popped up. Magic.
What's up, everybody? There you go. I was actually on the phone with Kurt. Kurt was like, dude, are you there? And I'm like, I've been here for like 15 minutes, just like hanging. And he was like, oh, okay. I was like, but I just sent him a message like right before you called. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. We should be on any minute then. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's no big deal.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't even see you in the background. I kept going up and down, and then I gave up after so long. And I guess by the time I gave up, then you popped up.
No worries. No worries at all, dude.
So glad
So
you're
we
here.
want to hear what you
I
have.
would love to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit who you are, what you do, all those good things, because we got to share Nick with the world.
Right on.
How it relates to what you do relates to the veterans, because this is all about helping veterans.
Well, of course. Yeah, everything I do relates to veterans and anybody else who needs health insurance, right? Because everybody does at some point in time, right? So, just stretch real quick. I'm joking. No. All right. So, what's up, everybody? All right. So, for everybody I don't know here, my name is Nick or Nicholas. It entirely depends on how much trouble I'm in at the moment. And I've got a phenomenal phrase for you guys today. We're going to bring up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, if you have no idea what you're paying for, then why are you paying for it, right? So, I work in the wonderfully awesome and incredibly exhilarating world of health insurance. The crowd goes wild. And you just gotta have some fun with this stuff. Somebody's got to, right? So what I do as an advisor in the health insurance world is super, super, super important, right? So as an advisor, it's pretty cool. Most people don't even know I exist. So I have to go on networkings and podcasts and everything like just to like get it out there because it's so incredibly important, right? So when you're looking for health insurance, there's like multiple different levels of blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So as an advisor, I'm the one right below the Department of Insurance and right above where brokers are, which is pretty cool, right? Just to kind of place it where it is. And so I have access to stuff that brokers aren't even allowed access to because it requires more schooling, teaching, knowledge, so on and so forth. Security clearance even too, which is nuts. And so being fingerprinted by the FBI, isn't that nuts? Dude, it's totally crazy. Anyway, regardless, I digress. But having an incredible amount of fun while doing this is so incredibly important because health insurance can get kind of dry. You know what I mean? And, it's all about giving back and having a lot of fun, right? So quick definitions for you guys, right? Just so you guys know. We're going to go from basically kind of like, it's just general market definitions, right? So EPO, that's exclusive provider organization, right? That means all your hospitals, doctors, so on and so forth, medical facilities is in one specific location. Very similar to the VA, essentially, right? However, it's a little different than the VA because the VA kind of like you can go anywhere to like any VA, basically, right? So, but this is like very geographically centered, right? So it's where you're at, and there's just those locations where you're at, essentially, right? And then you go into your HMO, which is one tier above that, right? So that's Health Maintenance Organization, right? So that's yours. Your network is your zip code and contiguous zip codes, which is some stuff right there, right? So basically, you have that's kind of like your network, and you have to establish your primary care physician, so on and so forth. And the other part about that is if you go anywhere outside of that, it may or may not be covered inside your state. It just depends. Like your PCP is going to have to call and get permission for you. It's just like this huge like thing, basically, right? And both for EPO and HMO, your coverage is essentially locked in that state. It's just a big deal. right? So if you vacation anywhere else outside of that state, I mean, outside of a literal life-threatening emergency, you're not going to be taken care of, right? Speaking of, here's a fun one for you. So like prime example, one of my clients out in Florida, great dude, right? Talking to him and he was like, man, Nick, you know, these PPO plans are so important. Oh, but I forgot to tell you what a PPO plan is. PPO is Preferred Provider Organization. That means you can pick your hospital, you can pick your doctor, choose when you want to choose, like, you know, everything about it, right? And the biggest part about it is there's no waiting periods. Like you just go, right? Like what I mean by a waiting period is like prime example, like one of my good friends, you know, I have so many friends that are vets, you know. So one of my Marine vet friends, she was like, hey, yeah, you can watch my kids. I'm like, oh, it's cool. She's like, yeah, I got to swing by the VA real quick. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I have clients that are vets, lots of clients that are vets. And I'm like, there's nothing real quick about the VA. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, right? And so I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'm thinking like an hour or two, whatever. She's like, I just gotta go get an injection. I'm like, that's cool, no big deal. 6 hours later, she's finally out. So I'm like, sweet baby Jesus, man. So I had some clients that are in that same position, and they're like, dude, I don't want to wait like 5 hours or 4 hours. I don't want to be stuck my entire day doing these things. Like, what can I do? PPO plans really, really help out with that because you can choose your hospital, you can choose your doctor, you can choose your medical facility, and you can go anywhere in the entire United States. That's massive, 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 huge. So now back to the example with the dude in Florida, right? So going to the guy in Florida, great dude, right? He was like, man, PPO plans are so incredibly important to me, Nick. And I'm like, all right, let's go, bro. I got you 100%, you know, because as an advisor, I have access to like just everything, which is kind of cool. And so luckily you're able to get him on the biggest plan in the United States, yada, yada. It's very, very important because it was all custom made for his specific needs, which is very, very, very important, right? Because big box solutions really don't fit everybody, right? So after he had his plan sorted, he's like, dude, can I tell you something? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm down. No big deal, man. He's like, so, he's like, it's so incredibly important what you do, Nick. And I'm like, thank you very much. You know, I didn't know where he was going with this, right? And so he was like, dude, so he's like my best friend. You know, used to live in Florida with me. It's like used to. Okay, so I'm thinking he's moved somewhere, right? He's like, so he went up to Jersey to visit some family. I'm like, okay. Something happened to him up in Jersey. He had some stuff or whatever going on, like medically, just in general, and he ended up being hospitalized in Jersey, right? And he was hospitalized. And so but he has an HMO plan that's down in Florida, right? And so he was up in Jersey getting hospitalized. They stabilized him, right? And they're like, sir, now that you're stabilized, we're going to have to refuse you treatment here. We can no longer treat you at the facility. We're refusing treatment. You have to go back to your state of origin to get treated, right? Dead serious. The dude is not 100% healed. He's stabilized, right? And so stabilized, going from Jersey down to Florida. The dude gets on a plane from Jersey to Florida, catches COVID on the way in, dies 2 weeks later in Florida. Dead serious, yo. Dead serious. Like, what the flippity flop? I was like, holy snot, man. That's incredible. That's nuts. He's like, yeah, so PPO plans are really important. He's like, my best friend would be here if it wasn't for it
Right.
even
I
have
was
a
going to
PPO plan.
say,
I was like, that's
I didn't
nuts.
understand what was the details behind why HMOs quote aren't so great, but personally, like you and I've met, Nick. You know, I have different conditions that are pre-existing,
Indeed.
and my family has found, even though I was a child and already had so many of them, that these HMOs would do their best to avoid having to pay, even though I'd still be local, like in my case in the Houston area. So of course I'm still inside of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's, you know, both in Katy but two different doctors, and they'd come up, the HMOs always came up with some reason that they didn't have to pay, and that it ended up on our end as the patient, or in some cases my parents, because I was a kid, that had to pay it even though we had insurance. And so I didn't understand the legality behind that, but it was something my parents learned the hard way, that they've always told me, never get an HMO, always get a PPO.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a big, big, big deal. Big deal. Right. So without getting too into the weeds compliance wise, balanced billing is a term that we all should know. One of those things, you know. So balance billing, it's best for you. Like, if you want to know more about balance billing, let me know. Shoot me a text, right? I can explain it to you. But essentially, it allows, like, from a very, very, very general top view, right? It allows that HMO company to pay for what they think they should pay for, if that makes sense, right? What's in their contract and rules, and every company's completely different. They all have different things and so on and so forth. But the long story short, a lot of the times you might end up like you did, Jen, which is totally nuts, right? I've had clients come to me in similar situations and like, dude, seriously? I'm like, I know. And, luckily I'm able to get them on some sort of PPO plan or a tailor-made situation for themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be a PPO plan, right? But it's more tailor-made for their particular situation. So things like this either don't happen or happen less frequently in their next future venture, which is a big deal, right? And so knowing about these things are crazy important, right? Because, just in general, like in America, we're, as a general society, not educated basically at all about health insurance, ever. Like, I did not know anything before I was an advisor, like legit anything. And here I am doing mechanical engineering, like doing literally the most complex engineering on the planet. And like, I was like, what's an HMO? Yeah, but if you want to know the huge equation about a J-bend pipe on the Pacific, I can get you that. No big deal. But I couldn't define a bloody HMO. You know what I mean?
I find it interesting that you end up being on this show today after around 5:15 or 5:30 Central, which is a matter of like maybe an hour before the show started. My best friend was just on Zoom with me, telling me that she switched to an HMO because it claimed that it could give her a caretaker. And going to the whole people don't really understand it. She says, yeah, it'll pay $150 a quarter. And I said, $150 a quarter for a caretaker? I said, are you aware that means that the caretaker for every 3 months of the year would only be able to be there for 1 or 2 days with you? I said, that is no reason to switch. I said, where are you going to do the other, 88 days of that quarter? She says, but $150 is a lot of money. I said, not if you look at the compensation plans of what businesses pay those caretakers. I mean, but it's kind of that sense of, I knew something wasn't right about the HMO, and I knew, like, I was able to do that accounting to say, well, that's saying you want to switch to a whole new plan for 2 days out of 90 days benefit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So just in general, what I find a lot of individuals do, and it's been a big deal, is a lot of individuals will shop for health insurance like they shop for t-shirts at Walmart, to use a terrible analogy, mind you. It's like, oh, that's on sale, that's a good deal. Oh, you can grow into that. Oh, like, and all the things, because we've all been there. I've been there myself, And the thing is, it's not how much it costs, it's what it does, right? And so looking inside of the eggshell, so to speak, is so incredibly important.
Jason, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Do you want to get involved in this conversation with Nick?
I don't know much about health insurance.
You got questions for him related to it?
Oh man, he's the guy. I mean, I always hear him speak on these networking events, and they always say, you might forget you might forget 70 or 80% of what somebody says. You'll remember 55% if they involve you, but you always remember how they made you feel. And one thing about Nick, he always makes you feel cool. He's always engaged. He takes an otherwise boring subject and makes it interesting. And you know what? Hey, it's a necessary evil. We got to have health insurance, right? You might as well get it from somebody that you can stand to be around, somebody that knows the industry and knows how to make it fun. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you so much.
And it's
Jason, you're awesome, bro.
What's that, Jennifer?
I said, and it's practically a comedian at the same time.
Yeah.
And it kind of relates to what I was saying about Jason earlier. Understanding these concepts, like how money works, how insurance works, all these things, it's complicated. It's
Right.
And not because if you don't understand, I mean, there's a lot to understand if you want to understand the industry. And unless you're actually in the industry, you're not going to probably take that much time. So you need somebody who you trust, who you can talk to, so you can understand what you need. Because you earlier were defining things where I at this point in my life, I understand those some, right? Enough to hopefully make decent decisions, but I'm not an expert. I don't, because we were just doing our whole open enrollment stuff recently, and I'm looking things over going, oh my God, I'm over my head here. I don't know, how am I supposed to know? Because our company just switched carriers, and now things are this, not that.
Shoot me a text. I'm always down, Sue. Shoot me a text. My friends do it all the time, literally. Like somebody literally the other day, somebody was like, Nick. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. So you got a little bit of time. And I'm like, wait, what's up, man? He's like, so my company just shot me this this pamphlet for open enrollment, and I hear this dude's wife in the background. That was 3 weeks ago, Jim. And I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah. So can you can I borrow you for a little bit? And I'm like, go for it, bro. It's cool. Yeah. And so like in 20 minutes we were done. And he was like, God, you've done in 20 minutes what I couldn't do in 3 weeks. Just thank you so much. And I'm like, no problem, bro. And he's like, and I actually understand what I'm doing now. So I really appreciate you. I was like, I got you. No big deal. It's all gravy, dude. Give me a call next year. And he was like, okay, will do. You know?
Well,
and it's totally cool. It's no stress. My services are free as an advisor, which is a big deal. Right?
Right, because I understand that you're paid by the insurance, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's paid somehow. You know what I mean? But
No,
the
but I
most
mean,
important thing is...
I mean, it's not the client, right?
The client. I don't receive money from clients. Yeah, absolutely. So my services to clients are 100% free. My services to people, they don't have to be my clients. A lot of times, sometimes I adopt people as a client. I'm like, yeah, you're just adopted. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, I'm adopting you. Just letting you know. It's going to happen. You have my number. Call me. And they're like, all right. But you don't like make any money from this. I was like, you need my help. Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's cool, you know? And the thing is like information is meant to be shared. It's a beautiful thing, right? And that's just like a life lesson in general. But like, you know, all this health insurance stuff is nuts. You know, and the reason why I got into this stuff is actually because I needed help myself, right? Single dad and triplets. It's kind of a thing. You know, I got to have insurance for my kids, you know? And when I got laid off from the oil and gas industry because of literally patient zero in Wuhan, like it was a big deal. I went from like this dude in engineering to like nothing, and didn't know how to fix that. Didn't know how to do that, you know. And you know when they hit me with, oh yeah, your Cobra insurance. What's Cobra, right? That's your part plus their part plus a minimum 2% switching fee. They don't really tell you about. They're like, yeah, your Cobra's $14.50 a month, and I'm like, 14 bloody 50. I don't even have a job now, do we? What? And I was like, no, I can't do that. Then the Cobra dude was like, yeah, that's too expensive for you. I mean, you can always go on the marketplace. And I'm like, okay. And so with like zero assistance or help, you know. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I go on the marketplace. I know I didn't want an HMO because that's what I had previously. I ran it 1 year as an experiment. True story. Engineers never hate to say what they don't know. It's like the funniest thing in the world. Like looking back on it, you know. But here 2 seconds. And so essentially, what had happened was I got an HMO 1 year to experiment with it just to see like what it was. It was a terrible idea. Like nothing was covered. Everything was. It was a waste of my time and money, in my opinion, right at the time. And so I knew I didn't want to do that. An EPO I knew was a smaller version of an HMO. I just didn't know how it worked, essentially, so I didn't want to do that. That's all that's available in the Texas marketplace, right? The thing is roughly about 60% of the United States, that's the same story for those guys. PPOs aren't even available in the public marketplace. It's a big deal, right? And so, like, how do I do the stuff that takes care of my family? How do I do that, right? So I didn't know, and I didn't, and I did all my research on Google. Went to like literally the last O of Google and found no reputable information at the time about health insurance whatsoever. It was just all opinions and conjecture. So I'm like, well, I mean, can't really base fact on that, you know? And so I was like, well, it's a big deal.
Sorry,
What's
Nick,
up, Jennifer?
We're out of time. Will you
Beans, I'm so sorry.
For next Monday and we can continue this discussion?
Sure. Yeah, I'll see what I can do, for sure.
Yep, we're going to continue this in a week. Jason,
All right.
do you have any last words?
I'm without words right now.
Outrageous.
Reach out to
Doesn't
me.
happen often.
Reach out to me. Let's have a chat.
Well, thank you
out
everyone for tuning in.
one of
We
my fans
have
sent me a
Nick
banana.
Davis here for health insurance, and we have Jason Nightingale here for banking education. Please be sure to look in the description, or be sure to look up Nick Davis or Jason Nightingale on LinkedIn, and feel free to contact them. We thank you for tuning in. God bless you, each and every one of you, and God bless our veterans and all they do for us or did for us and continue to be here. And know you are valuable, and suicide is never the answer. Always ask for help and do not be afraid. Thank you.